Hello, everyone. Thank you from wherever you're joining me. My name is Coach Martin, and I am excited as we talk about how to release emotional attachments to someone who stopped loving you. It is an interesting moment to fall in love and get along with someone, and the love keep on growing, trust keep on growing, and become joined together, glued together, bonded together. And we never wish that good feeling, that good emotional ecstasy will one day come to an abrupt end. No. In our At the back of our minds we're always praying silently that this relationship survives every kind of storm, every kind of challenge, and it lives to see the next day and the next day and the next day and the next day to infinite. However, the reality is, if it's a relationship involving two human beings, there's also a probability that that relationship will end at some time, at some point. So it is how to deal with the ending of that relationship that really is a subject. Because when a relationship ends, so much happens emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and physically. But if the ending of a relationship has not killed you physically, then there is a sign that your life still has an opportunity to progress beyond the relationship. So that's what we want to do today. We want to talk about how do you move on after a breakup. Okay? So, how to release emotional attachment to someone who stopped loving you. I've heard of falling in love, but hardly have I come across people who have fallen out of love. Is this even possible? Can your partner suddenly stop loving you? Before we answer that question, you must know that there's a huge difference between loving and being in love. Falling out of love is one of those awful parts of life that we don't want to think about until we sense that it's happening to us. At first, we think we're imagining things. It's a rare we stop and ask ourselves, does he love me? But pretty soon it becomes clear that something is really, really wrong, says dating coach Elizabeth Stone. Letting go of someone that you never thought you'd have to let go of is a difficult thing. When someone has stopped loving you, it may feel like the world won't continue spinning. However, we all know that we all know that isn't true. Letting go and moving forward with life is entirely possible, and it's the healthy solution to having to say goodbye to someone you once loved. When it's time to let go and say goodbye, we are often left wondering how to go about doing that. After all, it's not something that's taught to us in school. Here are the best ways to let go of someone who stopped loving you and move forward to a better and healing tomorrow. Number one, understand why you broke up. What was it about the relationship that wasn't working? What caused the rift that had the both of you part ways in the first place? If you can't pinpoint the exact reason, you may want to think about what went wrong in the relationship. This doesn't mean that it was your fault, their fault, or anyone's fault. Sometimes people don't work out in a relationship. That doesn't mean there must be a good and a bad guy in the breakup story. Even if it still hurts, understanding why the relationship ended is the first step to allowing yourself to let them go and learn to say goodbye. You can stay civil and on speaking terms if necessary, or you can part ways for good. There's no right or wrong answer, just what is best for your heart. So take time to appreciate the journey and look at the progress that you made from the time you met, the exchange, the vulnerability levels growing, the level of honesty, the level of intimacy. When you appreciate those movements, you have to come to some bit of a hint or a link as to why the relationship broke up. So when you look back, when you reflect, when you introspect and retrospect, you'll see how the rift began to develop. You'll see how your partner changed, how the relationship dynamics changed, how the power dynamics in that union changed. You'll notice that there was a pattern that was developing, and though you did not pay much attention to that, it is basically that pattern that led to a point where the relationship could no longer, the center of that relationship could no longer hold. So, taking time to appreciate why you broke up is important if you really want to move on, because your mind has to release the relationship, has to release the person, has to release the memories, has to release the moments and the ties. And for that to happen, then it has to be you intentionally looking at the relationship from a reflective position. So you're standing and looking at that relationship like, what did that relationship really end? So you're not being personal, you're being objective as you look at that relationship. So that's really the first step when you really want to move on after a breakup. So if you are watching and you're listening to this and you just come from a breakup, that is the first step. Understand why you broke up. There's always a reason. It doesn't have to be you are in the wrong or the other person is in the wrong. No, that is not really the intention of this process or this step. The intention of this step is really to understand the whole relationship, the dynamics, the patterns, because every relationship has some patterns, has some emotion, has some aspects. And so when you look at all that, you'll be able to notice why the relationship ended. Let us go to number two is take your time. You don't need to get over your heartbreak right away. There's a reason that the phrase time heals all wounds is as popular as it is. While it may not be true in the sense that time heals all wounds, taking your time can indeed make healing a lot easier. If you try to push yourself into feeling better and bottle up how you are feeling, it will only come back 10 times harder than before. Sometimes time shows us that the feelings we felt were only to be felt in passing as we passed on by and on to the next individual we love. That's why you have to give time a chance. Even if it doesn't do the trick of healing all your wounds, it will most certainly numb the pain. It will turn those vivid memories into blurry renditions, says entrepreneur Paul Hudson. When you are learning to let go, the most important thing to do is to let yourself take all the time you need to heal. One day, you'll wake up and realize that you aren't feeling the same pain as when it happens. So, take your time, don't rush into it. Relationships are natural phenomenons and they involve a lot of trust building, a lot of emotional, mental, spiritual, and physical exchange. So, from the time you met as casual, as strangers, and you began to connect, talk to one another, and the relationship evolved and developed, you will notice the intimacy level in day one is different from intimacy level in 1 week or 2 weeks, months, or years after you guys met. So taking time is basically allowing the natural the natural phenomenon of a relationship, or the natural aspect of a relationship, to have its way. So when you create time and let time really be a judge of that relationship or what really happened, then you'll notice that the pain you are feeling today will lessen as the time goes by. You don't want to rush to closing the chapter, because there are people who want to rush. I met a lady and she was just coming from a breakup and she was hoping onto another relationship, and I felt for her, but you see, there's little I could do. But I let her do whatever she felt right. But for me, it was not the right timing. You're just from a breakup and you're just hopping into another relationship. When you take your time, you are allowing the bond, the ties, and the intimacy to lessen, to loosen naturally. It's possible that when you spend time away from someone, away from thinking about them, then you'll notice that the bond will loosen naturally. So sometimes you don't need to do anything, but just giving the relationship time or the breakup time, you'll notice that the bond is not the way it was. Number three, understand why you need to let them go. Relationships don't always end for good. There are times where a relationship can be rekindled and put back together. However, when you are saying goodbye to someone who has stopped loving you, it is best to understand that the relationship will not likely to be fixed. Sometimes we need to understand that relationships end so we can move forward and find that special relationship we were meant to be in forever. Understanding why you need to let them go is a great tool in healing, because if you don't, those emotions will catch up with you and you'll end up doing something that you later regret at bottom. Once you have that understanding, you'll no longer feel the need to be drawn back into a relationship that has reached its expiration date. So there's always a reason why someone has stopped loving you. Sometimes they will have the courage to articulate, express it, reveal it. Sometimes they leave you with signs to read. Either way, you can't hold people in a prison. Love is about freedom, freedom to have an emotional, mental, spiritual, and physical stake in the relationship, and the freedom to let go of that stake. So when you happen to be in a breakup, happen to have experienced a breakup, you need to ask yourself, what will be the advantage of you letting this man go, this woman go? And when you engage your mind, when you engage your brain into that process, you will have the reasons. You will start tabling the list. You start to narrate exactly why you have to let this person go. You'll notice that from the word go, you have been walking different directions. And you see, when the relationship is in its inception, because of the emotional connectivity, it is not possible for you to notice the stark differences or the stark incompatibilities. But eventually, when you look back and start analyzing a relationship, you will actually see that it is for your good that you let this woman go or this man go. Because if they overstayed in that relationship, you'll have lost. an opportunity. You'll have lost a man or a woman who was to love you fully. You'll have lost even a job. You'll have lost even a family. So you have to do a cost benefit analysis of why this person is okay for them to go. Why is it expedient for them to go? So you need to understand that, and you can only get that when you ask yourself very objective questions and notice how much you've been losing by staying with that person, by engaging with that person. You will always notice that it is okay for them to go. Number four, meet new people. This doesn't mean that you have to start going on dating apps and meeting people in bars right after you say goodbye. Hooking up with people won't fix that feeling of heartbreak. However, surrounding yourself with new people will aid in your recovery. You won't fall in love with someone new right away, but if you allow yourself to enjoy new people, you may fall in love with parts of people which can help you get the feeling back in your life as it moves forward. Surrounding yourself with new people will also allow you to fill your days with learning about new people instead of wallowing. Also, be careful with rebounding because at these early stages of grief, it's easy to have tunnel vision. You dwell on what was wrong in the relationship, what hurt and wounded you, says Dr. and author Robert Taibbi. So what does this mean? Whenever you are ready, you get to decide. Don't cave into peer pressure. Let your heart heal, then consider relaunching your social life. So it is also important that as you grieve the ending, the death, the coming to a dead end of that relationship, you also realize that this is just one person you met out of the billions of people on earth. And every relationship has something to bring into your life. And it could be that was a seasonal relationship. It is just you misread the whole thing. So when you approach life like that, after the breakup, you will begin to open up and loosen up so that you can meet people. That allows you to benefit from the perspective, the experience, and the life of other people. So as you meet new people, remember your intention is not to fall in love. No, your intention is to open your heart because when you experience a breakup, the natural tendency is to cave in, is to shut in, is to lock your heart inside. So when you're intentional about meeting new people, you are choosing to go against the grain of locking yourself in so that you keep your heart open. When you meet new people, the emotional, mental, and spiritual exchange will bring healing because whenever there's a breakup, we tend to hold on to grudge, resentment, bitterness, rage, and all that stuff. But as you engage with people, that negativity that was accumulating inside you will find its way out, will 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 flow out of you. And the more you engage with people, the more you realize that the negativity in you is reducing to a point where you'll be okay. Your heart will be open, your heart will be ready, your heart will be receptive. And in fact, when you are relating with people with no intention to fall in love with them, then you tend to really connect with authentic men and women. And this really is the idea why you need to meet your people. Number five, open yourself to finding love. Open yourself to finding love. When you say goodbye to someone you truly love, it can feel like that was it for us. We met the love of our lives and it didn't work out, and there's no one else for us. That isn't true. Spiritual matchmaker Heather Christian Strang says, in a spiritual sense, all true love is eternal. Death, breakups, divorce, whatever it may be, cannot destroy a true love. Therefore, closing yourself to love can shut you off from finding the person you're meant to be with. Sometimes relationships end so that we can find the love of our lives. When you meet that person, all of the pain from saying goodbye to your last love will heal like never before. Keeping yourself open to love is going to be the thing that helps you heal and move forward every time. So, this is my closing remarks. If you experienced a breakup, it's because you once exercised your capacity to love and to be loved. So when this ends in a breakup, it doesn't negate your capacity to love and to be loved. It only means that this relationship could not work. And there are many reasons why a relationship doesn't work. There are many, many things. And sometimes the ending of that relationship is better than you being entangled with someone who you are not walking on the same path. Two cannot work together unless they agree. If you live with someone who you're always at loggerheads, you're always looking at life in an antagonistic way, then you are tearing yourself apart. You're losing sense of you. So don't close yourself on finding new love. Open up because the capacity to love is intrinsic. It is in you. It will never be diminished by a breakup. It will never be diminished by someone who never received or appreciated your love. So let your heart remain optimistic and heal, because once you heal, then you will discover that you still need to be loved and you still need to love, because love gives us an opportunity to give our best to people, and then we also create a space where people can give their best to us. It is possible that you'll meet someone who will move you away from the pain into healing and definitely into a new relationship. So don't close your heart from love, because you open your heart to love because you have the capacity to love and to be loved back. Thank you very much. My name is Coach Martin. It was a pleasure having you watch and listen. Until then, see you.